Hi everyone, my name is Chantay. Welcome to a weekend review of today's or this week's political headlines. I hope everything is well. If you are not following me on Instagram or Twitter, you can always subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do have a YouTube channel, and it's my first and my last name. You can look on my bio, so that's where you can find it at. So, yeah. So, I am just here with some COVID numbers. It's not much, so here we go. Global confirmed cases according to the Johns Hopkins University and Medicine website, there are 139,670,541 confirmed cases of COVID-19. The global death toll is at 2,997,062. U.S. confirmed cases are 31,575,138, and the U.S. death toll is 566,212. Keep in mind, the U.S. is only 20% of the world's population, and we had 25% of most of the COVID cases that's here. It's not surprising. In terms of the vaccines, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has been on pause due to the effects that people have been getting, not just only getting sick from it, but some people actually kind of died from it. And so that's why that vaccine is on pause, and it's only 86% effective from COVID. So therefore, even though you take the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, you can still get COVID versus the Moderna and the Pfizer's, which I think Pfizer is 94% accurate and Moderna is about 96. They're in the 90s. Anything over above 90 is effective, but still, even though you're fully vaccinated, you still have to wear your mask because the CDC did not declare this pandemic is over. So that's just the irony of everything. I can't believe I'm following my own agenda, which is good because I have a written agenda, folks. All it is right here. So here we are. And those are watching, hello. And so I just said all the stats and all the vaccine updates. But if you live in New York City, if you're over the age of 16, find your location we could get vaccinated. For those who are going to the doctor next week, even though mine is a telehealth call, you can ask your doctor which vaccine is available. Because I probably will take my first vaccine later on this month or early May. Because I will be vaccinated before the summertime. That much I know. But I urge you, folks, to please get vaccinated and still wear your mask. Still wear your mask. Let me read. The effective rate of Johnson & Johnson is the same. The Moderna and Pfizer have a special test group. Oh, thank you. One of my followers who is a health professional, healthcare professional, just said that to me. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, with all of that, with COVID, we're still in the midst of it. Cases are still rising. I think we're in wave 3 or wave 4, one of these waves. Please wear your mask and wash your hands and continue to social distance. I see some people relax on the social distancing, and I'm like, this is not the time to do it. It's not the time. And I see people on my stuff, so yeah. Oh, congratulations. Yes, please, take your vaccine and still wear your mask. And if you're double mask, I double mask. Still, even though it's April, still wear your mask. And yeah, wear your tan mask. So with these mass shootings, so it felt like it's been a long ass week of drama. It's just ridiculous. This shit is it makes my head spin. So, according to The Hill in my Apple News, so this the authorities have said the gunman was a 19-year-old former FedEx employee, and that his mother had warned law enforcement in 2020 that he might attempt suicide by a cop. Don't know what that means. The suspect shooter died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The fatal attack late Thursday marked just the latest in a spate of mass shootings across the country. A shooter earlier this year in the Atlanta area also killed 8 people, including 6 women of Asian descent, sparking alarm, rising violence against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I mean, that was under Trump back in what is it? Last year during the coronavirus when he said the China virus and the Wuhan virus and shit like that. And they said several Democrats have mounted calls for gun control reforms to be passed through Congress in light of the shootings. Gun violence is an epidemic of America, but we should not accept it. We must act right now. And the president is right. The president also signed an executive order today, not today, but last week or the week before on, gun control. But there needs to be some legislation, even though executive orders is good, but can always be rescinded by the next president, whether it's a person in his own party or a Republican. So that can happen. And also, I think a gun safety reform was passed in Congress. I'm not quite as sure. And the people that voted against it, of course, was the QAnon women, Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm not surprised. I mean, look who they are. They love their Second Amendment. And so, pretty much, it's just like everything is partisan right now with all the legislation that Democrats are proposing. With gun reform, gun control reform. That has been a uphill battle from when I was a child back in the 90s. I mean, in the 1990s, when Joe Biden was a senator and I was 8, he signed the legislation of the Brady Bill. He was one of the authors. He was one of the authors of the Brady Bill because he didn't sign anything. He wasn't the president at the time, but he authored the Brady Bill. He's always been progressive when it came to gun control and gun safety reform. I mean, I don't know where people forgot who Joseph Robinette Biden was before he became a vice president, when he was a senator, because some of his record was actually very helpful to people, and all Americans in all different races, no matter if you're black, you're white, you're brown, you're yellow, you're green. I mean, some of the legislation he proposed, such as the violence against women and gun safety reform, including the Brady Bill, did help people. And he was also very progressive when it came to climate change. So I don't know where the Sunrise Movement come with their bullshit. I don't know where some of these progressives in Congress and some of these progressive activists come with their shit. I mean, Joe Biden has always been progressive when it came to issues of gun safety reform, the climate, and healthcare, and women's rights. So if you want to debate me with that, that's fine. But truth is truth. Truth is truth. But it's just been too much of these shootings have been going on. It's just ridiculous. And Kamala Harris also has a progressive background too when it came to sex trafficking. Let's see, criminal justice reform, the Back on Track program, because many states are doing that. Let's see, women's rights. More so black women's rights, technically speaking, because, not a lot of politicians, especially black politicians, speak about black women's health care and reproductive rights. And she did before Ro Khanna decides that he wants to be the spokesman of all black women. Yeah, okay. And a whole host of, education reform and aftercare reforms too. Her after school plan during the the presidential campaign. I remember that. That was one of the reasons she drew me into that. So that was something that she's always been progressive is. So pretty much, I'm gonna just sum this up. Joseph Robinette Biden and Kamala Davy Harris have always been progressive on their records of different issues before one senator that claimed to be the progressive champion was even progressive on issues. And honestly, his record is more conservative than Joe Biden's record and Kamala Harris's record. I had to do that face for a second. So I'm going to just read y'all comments. There are two they're too progressive and they can't stand the fact that they have nothing to slander, nothing to complain. That's true. And they say they really have President Biden all wrong. Yep. Oh, I'm about to rip into some of these online activists in the few. So stay tuned for that one. But back to this the shootings with the Black Lives Matter and the police brutality that's just going on in our country. So Chantay Wright, who was 20 years old, which is close to Joseph's age almost, and Adam Toledo, who was 13 years old, both gunned down by police for whatever reason, which is none, was so dumb. One did not know that she used her Glock 47, I believe, than the taser. And the other thought that the young man, the young boy, the 13-year-old boy, not the 13-year-old man, the 13-year-old boy, Sean Hannity, thought he had a weapon. He had no fucking weapon. Had no fucking weapon at all. Like, honestly, like, these cops, like, do they honestly know or remember what was in their trainings? Or they just do this to be racist? Well, we all know they doing this to be racist. But I just pose a question for folks that don't know. I mean, like, I'm tired of seeing this shit. I've been seeing this shit since I was a kid. From Amadouina, Amadou Diallo, Sean Bell, Aragona, because I live in New York. So that happened in my city. And then, you know, Rodney King from when I was 5, to Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, Laquan McDaniel when I was in my 20s and possibly early 30s. You know, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of this shit. Like, it's time for real police reform. And maybe the police, now I'm going to explain about defund the police. I'm going to explain it the right way. The way that then Senator, now VP, Kamala Harris explained what defund the police actually means without saying defund the police. You want to take the resources that the police have, the financial resources, not all of it, but cut some of it, right? Cut some of the funding, shift it to different resources, such as social services and after-school programs. Not saying to completely remove funding from police, but not give them so much money. And also to reform and give cops the necessary training on how to deal with Black and brown people. That's what defund the police means, folks. Cut some of their funding, shift it to other places, reform the police, give them training, and ban chokeholds and no-knock warrants. That's what defund the police means. The way these progressives talk about defund the police, defund the police doesn't mean to abolish the police. To defund is to cut. To abolish means to put an end to. So you want to cut and the funding, which I agree to cut some funding, not cut all funding. Cut probably 20% of funding. But to abolish law enforcement is just no. When you abolish the police, you're getting rid of law enforcement on a whole spectrum. And pretty much, you're just allowing anarchy to happen. And then on top of that, you're giving the Republicans their ticket to 2022 and 2024 and possibly for the next 20 years to fuck shit up in this country and to make it harder for people that look like me. And it's more so white leftists. Abolish the police. Do you realize that when you scream abolish the police, like, you're not going to get attacked by police. You, because of your white skin. My black ass skin, oh, I could get pulled over by cops. Oh, but you're a woman. It doesn't matter. Look what they did to Breonna Taylor and to Sandra Bland. You don't think they will do shit to me? When these progressives scream abolish the police, that's not progressive to me. What's progressive is actually working across party lines to get shit done. Police reform is a social reform. What's not a social reform is defunding the police. But I would like to read some tweets because I think it's time for me to rip new assholes into people, because it seems like, people just like to be stupid on the internet because they're given a platform. They feel like they just can say anything and win anything out of their mouths. It's just ridiculous. Shit. So Bree Newsom is a progressive, a hardcore progressive. And I understand, everybody doesn't have the same ideology. I get it. I understand it. But if you can listen and open your ears and understand where people are coming from, that's fine. So this is what she said that was pretty disingenuous, that got me all fucked up. The George Floyd in Policing Act is Justice in Policing Act is problematic, IMO, because it doesn't address structural racism, which is a central problem in policing. Enormous time, money, and effort will be spent on the passage of a bill that does little, yet is promoted by progressives as an adequate response. And then in the same breath, she said, I support things like eliminating qualified immunity, but even that measure about what happens after police have killed or otherwise harmed someone. We can't prevent the harassment and assaults and killings from happening without deliberate downsizing of policing. As many abolition organizers point out, who are more expert at this than me, I voice support as a housing organizer because these issues overlap, and a lot of the solutions to this have to take place at a local and state level. But Fed government must name proper approach, defund and abolish. Bree, how the fuck this shit makes sense? Loud and motherfucking wrong. But I quoted her tweet. And I said this. This is exactly why blue check progressives will never prevail. It's the truth. They will never get anything accomplished with the constant complaining tweets, not trying to advocate for real solutions. FYI, the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, because that's the name of it, is actually very good. Bans on chokeholds, no-knock warrants, eliminates racial profiling, and more. So, according to the Congress.gov website, the Justice in Policing Act of 2020, introduced in the House June 8th, 2020, about 2 weeks after George Floyd passed away, was killed by Derek Chauvin. This bill addressed a wide range of policies and issues regarding policing practices and law enforcement accountability. It introduces measures to increase accountability for law enforcement misconduct, to enhance transparency, and data collection, and to eliminate discriminatory policy practices. The bill facilitates federal enforcement of constitutional violations such as excessive use of force by state and local law enforcement. Among other things, it does the following: lower the criminal intent standard from willful to knowing or reckless to convict a law enforcement officer for misconduct in a federal prosecution. Limits qualified immunity as a defense to liability in a private civil action against a law enforcement officer or state correctional officer, and authorize the Department of Justice to issue subpoenas investigations of police departments for a pattern or practice of discrimination. The bill also creates a national registry, the National Police Misconduct Registry, to compile data on complaints and records of police misconduct. It established a framework to prohibit racial profiling at the federal, state, and local levels. The bill established new requirements for law enforcement officers and agencies, including to report data on use of force incidents, to obtain training on implicit bias and racial profiling, and to wear body cameras. So I have one question for Ms. Newsom. What the fuck is wrong with this bill? What issues you have that is not progressive for your liking? And qualified immunity, yes, it does, but it won't do anything. I just read the whole fucking bill to you. You can actually research this shit online instead of tweeting some bogus shit that you tweeted. She's a black woman, Chantay. Why are you getting on her? Because she had a whole thread of fucking platitudes that caters to her white progressive ilk. So, Brie, my suggestion to you, girl, do some motherfucking research on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act before you put out a thread of fucking doo-doo bullshit. Okay? I hope you don't have a problem with what I said, because I said what the fuck I said. Also, another problem, and I think I did a video on this too, but I got to repeat this again because I hate people when they pander to me and pretend they my ally and they not. So I think I need to. Oh, before I do that, I want to do this one. I have to. So, Cardi B is a rapper and an entertainer. And she quoted someone's tweet because they said defund the police. Here's her tweet. That's bullshit to me. We need cops. And the fact that we need strict laws for cops. If you shot somebody just like civilians, you will go to jail that same day, get charged, wait for a bond, and go to trial. That will make you think twice about shooting anyone. Who would ever thought that I would actually agree with Cardi B? There were certain things I agree and I tend to not agree, but one of them I do agree. I actually agree. And this I agree. And keep in mind, she's supposed to be a Bernie Sanders supporter. And she agrees with not defunding the police. Or can I say abolishing the police? Because I got to differentiate the two because, yeah. And you know who else makes sense? Bernard Sanders of South Brooklyn. Because he is from Brooklyn. He said to Wolf Blitzer this week that we need police reform. So I ask all you progressives out there, abolishing the police, what is that going to lead us to? Do you have an answer for it? Obviously you don't, because y'all don't have no solutions. Y'all like to criticize the Democratic Party, but y'all don't have no solutions. Maybe that's why y'all not in Congress. Most of y'all. But just to shut some of y'all down, y'all not going to prevail. But I need to read Ryan Knight's tweet, because I think this tweet here kind of pissed me off too. It's like I said, I hate people pandering to me, and I promised I was going to read this tweet, because I can't with this man. Like, forever can't with this man, because I just feel like he does things for performative politics, and he's a performative bullshit artist, and it's like he works my nerves in its whole entirety. So I just need to find his tweet, because it's here, and I'm just so sick of the shit. I'm like I said, I'm so sick of these quote unquote progressives pandering to my black ass. I mean, white progressives pandering to my black ass, and pretty much have, you know, just disgustingly nasty. So I just need to like read this, because it will make me feel better and get some steam off my fucking chest. Here we are. So this is what the Proud Socialist said. If black people are the backbone of the Democratic Party, then why are Joe Biden and the Democrats not fighting for reparations and to defund the police and shift resources into black communities? Black people in this country need justice, not empty platitudes, optics, and lip service. First of all, Ryan Knight, you are the motherfucking lip service, because you obviously haven't been around enough black people. So that's one. Two, there is a George Floyd Justice and Policing Act that's out there. There's actually a bill to study reparations, and I believe Joe Biden signed something where there's a possibility that can be reparations there. So that's another. Also, fourth, the Voting Rights Act has been passed in Congress. It just needs to be voted on in the Senate, as well as the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And there are more series of bills that will be out, you know, addressing the systemic racism in all of our institutions, not just fucking criminal justice that you flux aggressives keep fucking touting like you're going to get some black support. So overall, like I addressed Ryan Knight, and I'll be ripping him a new asshole all day, because his ass needs to be exposed. He needs to be trending on Twitter to get dragged like Meghan McCain. I'm going to say this. You're not the spokesperson for black people. Not you, not David Serrata, not Cenk Uygur, not Anna Kasparin, not Crystal Ball, not Katie Harper, not Walker Bragman. None of you motherfuckers are spokespeople for black people. And that includes Bree Newsom, and that includes Breonna Taylor. You don't speak for black people. Black people don't want you to speak for them. We don't want your support. We don't want your advocacy. We just want you to shut the fuck up and let this administration do their job. Let the people in Congress do their job. And for the progressives in Congress, stop motherfucking complaining on Twitter and actually tweet about the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, and not trying to abolish the police. Rashida Tlaib. And all of you in that squad, promote the George Floyd Justice and Police Act, because everything y'all advocating for is in that motherfucking bill. Because I know half of y'all did not write that bill. I know who was the authors of that bill. And one of them is the vice president of the United States currently. When she was a senator, she was one of the authors of that bill because she has a long record in the criminal justice reform area. Yep. Her. The same ones you motherfuckers call a cop. Her. And I need to address Meghan McCain, who lied on TV today. Because it's time to get some folks on the right, too. Meghan Marguerite McCain. For you to say that Democrats are playing politics and not trying to pass Tim Scott's extension of Donald Trump's pro-police executive order, you need to shut the fuck up too. First of all, I don't even know why you still got a job at The View, because from my understanding, you're a trust fund baby. You don't even have no fucking really experience in politics besides working for your dad. And you didn't even work that long for your dad because Steve Schmidt and Nicole Wallace told you to back it up and told your father that you don't need to be in all his campaign events because your mouth is reckless. And obviously, it shows on TV for the last, couple years. Your mouth is motherfucking reckless and is reckless on Twitter. It just so happens on Twitter, bitches will check you. And I'm one of them. I don't even have to tag you. I don't even have to slide in your comments. I can tag you in a post saying, Meghan McCain is dumb as fuck. Because you are dumb. And you're clueless. You're not clueless like Cher, because Cher actually has some sense. But the simple fact is, you make no sense when you open your mouth. So therefore, you keep black people out your mouth too. But as I said, to all you performative politicians and commentators on this Bird app and even on TV, if you don't know about criminal justice reform or any issues that deal with black people, I advise you to shut your mouth and don't say nothing. Sit down, eat your food, drink your wine, and listen. Because you may learn something. All of this, trying to give your 2 cents without knowing any information makes you look like a whole complete jackass. And some of y'all did it on Twitter, and y'all doing it on TV, and you're doing it on your shitty ass podcasts. Laura Beslon made herself look like a fool on Brianna's Bad Faith podcast. Ryan Knight make himself look like a fool on Twitter and his podcast all day, every day. Meghan McCain looked like a fool on The View every day and on Twitter. All of you motherfuckers look like fools on Twitter and on television. And Rashida Tlaib made herself look like an idiot too. Like, you talking about abolishing the police and knowing good and damn well you just create a whole narrative for the people in your party. The moderates in your party, the centrists in your party, the quote-unquote liberals in your party. You create a whole motherfucking narrative. A whole narrative. You got Fox saying shit about you and saying shit about the Democratic Party. Nancy Pelosi don't got no control over her party. She got control over her party, and so does Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They got control over y'all. They not gonna let shit fly. So let the George Floyd Justice Policing Act be voted on in the Senate, because they're gonna get Mr. Manchin together, all the way together, because I can see that happening. And yeah. But all you progressives in Congress, you guys, start tweeting about the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act and stop fucking complaining on Twitter, because it's not helping. Nothing. It's not going to do nothing but continue this shit further and further if you don't promote the motherfucking bill. It's just that simple. And stop listening to these blue check Twitter folks, your so-called friend activists, because they don't know shit. They don't know shit. So the Ryan Knights of the world, the Brianna Grays of the world, let's see, the Bree Newsoms of the world, gonna add your ass in there. Freaking Walker Bragman. Who else? Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, Cristobal, Katie Harper. Y'all don't know shit. Y'all don't know shit about what black people gotta go through and what people been going through. Black people been going through for years. So y'all all need to shut the whole entire fuck up. And people, why I'm cursing? Because I'm so sick of this bullshit with them. I'm so sick of this motherfucking bullshit. I need them to shut the fuck up. I'm already twisting my words because I'm so sick of them. I'm so motherfucking sick of them completely. So sick of them. And to Mr. Manchin, yeah, I'm getting you too. You need to cut your motherfucking bullshit too, because you was voting on certain things and all of a sudden you're not voting on stuff. Because you're trying to save your little redneck friends from paying more taxes. Maybe they need to pay more taxes. They've been getting over. It's like I said, white men shit, it's about to be done. From white male conservatives, white moderate conservative, white moderate men, and even white leftist men. Your shit about to be done. It's about to be done. It's about to be a wrap. Finito. Done. I said I was going to go, but I need to address this because I live in New York City. And the mayor race is going on. The mayoral debates are going to be live on TV May 12th on Wednesday. And people like, who are you supporting, Chantay? As much as I love Maya Wiley, I don't like the way she's running her campaign. I'm going to be real. I got to be real. I got to be real with sis. I mean, she got some folks from the Warren camp, and I understand, you want to run your campaign as this womanist campaign. I get it. But is it translating to black women who wants to support you? Because it seemed like it's not translating. I mean, her poll numbers are starting to increase, but I'm very skeptical. I suggest for Maya to not run her campaign as a womanist, feminist campaign, because it's just no. Even though I did donate to her. And who else I'm going to donate to? I'm going to donate to Mr. Adams. Because I'm feeling Mr. Adams right now. Mr. Adams is speaking old New York. The old New York that I miss. I was researching him and I said, I like Adams. I said, we need a black man in there. Because the last black person we had in there was David Dinkins. And David Dinkins he was a peaceful guy. It's so sad that Giuliani beat him in 1993 because he wanted a rematch and ran a very racist campaign and ran this city very racist-like. And Bloomberg carried out that same tradition for him. Oh, well, Bloomberg wasn't that bad, but Bloomberg, is the reason why a lot of black people had to leave this city. Because there was a large black population here in New York. And it was him. It was his fault. Oh, okay. But who am I rooting for? I'm rooting for the two black people in the race. Mr. Adams and Miss Wiley. People are like, what about Ray McGuire? We don't need another billionaire in there. We don't need another rich man in there. And Sean Donovan seems like he's a sneak attack. He seems pretty, aware of it. What about Scott Stringer? Scott Stringer is a dick. A whole entire dick. And he's the current city controller. I don't like him. And also there's a controller debate too going on. And that's about to happen. And my state senator is running to be the state controller, which is Brian Benjamin, who seems to be pretty qualified. But I'm not sure yet. There's a lot of local elections in New York is going on. There's the There's the New York District Attorney. I gotta research them because I saw the commercial for one of them. One I think is a Jewish candidate. She seems to be not bad, but I'm still going to like look at everybody from all perspectives. And even city council people, I gotta look at them too because, like I said, it's a lot of local elections going on. And the primaries for New York, I believe, is June 22nd. So we have time. Not as much time, but we got some time. So please, I heard Eliza is good. I'm gonna look at that. So if you live in New York, if you have New York One, because I have New York One on my Optimum app, but I have Verizon's Fios, unfortunately, my building. But I will be watching that debate May 12th. And I want to see when come out top. I have a good feeling that Adams may destroy Yang because the Yang supporters have been coming after Adams in a very racist and degrading way and disparaging his character all around. They kind of trying it with Maya, but they mostly doing it with Adams because Adams is the person that could potentially beat Yang. And he got receipts to prove it. And he's the most experienced out of everybody. So, and most experienced, way more experienced than Yang. And Black and Hispanics are actually feeling him. So, that is why. So, I mean, I say Yang may come, I'm not mean Yang, I mean, what's his face? Adams may, and Adams is the most experienced. So, I like to see Adam and even Maya, you know, beating the top two. But as for Andrew Yang is not qualified. Andrew Yang doesn't have knowledge of the city. He don't even know the difference between taking the A train to Inwood and complaining with the D train that goes to the Bronx. He don't know his trains. And he don't know too much about nature. He don't know a lot about city agencies, particularly Black and Hispanics are the ones that make up the most population as of employment in these city agencies. And he doesn't really have too much knowledge of the New York City public school system. He complained about being here, raising his children, and in a 2-bedroom apartment, which people have raised 5 children in a 2-bedroom apartment. So he's not relatable. And yes, I received a lot of criticism because I criticized him. Oh, Chantay, you criticize him because he's Asian. You're a racist. No, I criticize him because he's not experienced and he's not serious. He's unserious. Everybody mostly in this race is serious. Even the ones that I don't have enthusiasm for are more serious than Andrew Yang. So, that's my assessment. You got a problem? I don't know what to tell you. But I am going to end this. And thank you for watching. I hope I didn't curse too much for your liking. And I will see you guys next week. Ciao.